Everything changed in a matter of seconds. The National Football League is just an absolutely unforgiving landscape. It's a league defined by razor-thin margins, totally chaotic unpredictability, and violent, game-altering collisions. In this hyper-competitive environment, one single puzzle piece, if it's placed in exactly the right spot, well, it can completely alter the entire picture of a franchise. Today, in this deep dive explainer, we're unpacking a defensive master plan that has literally been years in the making. We are looking at the Seattle Seahawks as they head into their 2026 NFL training camp. But listen, this isn't just your basic run-of-the-mill roster breakdown. No, this is a cinematic look at the hardcore architecture of a championship-caliber defense. We're getting into the extreme X's and O's that make it actually function, and we're looking at the one crucial, indispensable element that holds this entire complex structure together. So, buckle up.
Okay, let's dive into this. What is the true cost of a single player on a championship defense? Just take a moment and really let the gravity of those stakes settle in. Because in modern football, the true cost isn't measured in salary cap space, it's not signing bonuses, and it sure is not just guaranteed money. It is measured in pure tactical opportunity. Think about it. When a player is out there on the turf, what are they allowing the other 10 men to do? Or, maybe more terrifyingly, what are they forcing the other 10 men to cover up? Today, we are about to explore what happens when a team discovers the ultimate skeleton key, a player whose mere presence fundamentally changes the actual geometry of the football field. And look, when we talk about changing the geometry, we mean forcing a quarterback to completely cross out half the field pre-snap strictly because of where one single man is standing. It's an absolute game changer.
Section 1. The ultimate defensive weapon. To really understand the 2026 Seahawks, you have to understand that their secondary isn't just a defensive backfield. It is a meticulously crafted weapon, totally designed to confuse, suffocate, and just mathematically break opposing quarterbacks. And every weapon needs a mechanism that makes it fire, right? Well, that mechanism is Julian Love, the 8th-year pro out of Notre Dame. Now we need to pause here, because 8 years in the NFL, that is an absolute eternity. It represents thousands upon thousands of live, full-speed repetitions. It's countless hours grinding away in the dark of the film room, and it builds a post-snap processing speed that only a truly seasoned veteran possesses. But Julian Love's true value isn't just in his veteran experience. It is in his absolute, unparalleled versatility. He is the anomaly. We are talking about a player who can line up as a deep free safety in a cover-one look, then drop down into the slot to man up against a shifty, quick-twitch receiver. He can play strong safety down in the box to set a hard edge against the run, or, incredibly, act as a dime linebacker navigating the absolute chaos of the A-gaps. This literally forces the opposing quarterback to find number 20 on every single play, completely scrambling their pre-snap reads. That absolute shape-shifting versatility is the bedrock upon which the Seahawks have built their entire defensive identity.
Now, what's really interesting about this next point is the sheer psychological weight of it. Listen to this quote from Love himself. He said, "Just throw me in at whatever, and I'll play that role. Cater the defense to where everyone else feels comfortable." Pause, and really think about the grit, the selflessness, and the staggering level of competence required to make that statement out loud in a professional locker room. In a league driven by massive egos and individual stats, he is essentially telling his coaches to build the defense around the weaknesses of his teammates. Why? Because he knows he has the elite processing and physical traits to cover those gaps. If a cornerback struggles in press man coverage, Love's going to rotate over the top to provide a safety net. If a linebacker is a liability in pass coverage against a tight end, Love will just step down into the box and completely take away the seam route. He actively sacrifices his own statistical glory, the interceptions, the flashy highlights, just so that the entire unit can operate with flawless, cohesive precision. It's incredible.
Which brings us to Section 2, Mike Macdonald's master plan. Look, a weapon is only as dangerous as the mind wielding it. And for head coach Mike Macdonald, having a player who actually volunteers to do the dirty work presents a fascinating, incredibly high-stakes tactical chess match. Look at how Macdonald approaches this dilemma. He said, how do we get him closer to the action? Sometimes, because he is so talented and so versatile, you do have to put him in other situations to round out the 11 and make sure we're the best 11 out there. Macdonald knows Julian Love is a playmaker. The natural instinct is to just put him right at the point of attack to blow up plays in the backfield. But the absolute genius of this scheme is recognizing that playing out of position is actually what dictates the opposing offense's protection plans. By dropping Love into the box, Macdonald can completely mask a blitz coming from the secondary, totally confusing the offensive line's protection schemes. Imagine this. The center checks into a slide protection because he's assuming Love is blitzing. But right at the snap, Love drops fluidly into an underneath zone, while a defensive back blitzes completely unblocked off the opposite edge. Moving Love around pre-snap, it's exactly like moving a queen on a chessboard. It dictates everything.
And this brilliantly illustrates the core of the master plan. By deploying Love as the ultimate plug-and-play safety net, defensive optionality is completely unlocked for the rest of the roster. Because Love can literally cover any vulnerability, it allows the other guys to play purely to their strengths without the constant fear of being exposed. Let's get into the granular details of exactly what that means out there on the turf. First, you've got Bud. Now, Bud brings a highly unique skill set to the table, and because of Love's elite deep third coverage abilities, the defense can utilize Bud in highly specific aggressive sub-packages without ever risking giving up a deep completion. It's a total green light. Then, look at Ty Okada. Ty is able to take on an expanded, far more aggressive role in 2026. Knowing that Love has his back in coverage, Ty is totally free to become a heat-seeking missile right at the line of scrimmage, triggering downhill against the run without even a fraction of a second's hesitation. And finally, Nick. Nick can just bring everything to the table, playing purely instinctual, fast, and aggressive football. This right here, this is the butterfly effect in motion. Love's flexibility isn't just a nice bonus, it is the direct key that unlocks the absolute true potential of Bud, Ty, and Nick on every single down.
Let's move to Section 3, the 10-1 difference. Now, theory, great quotes, and tactical optionality on a whiteboard, they're all fascinating. But let's be real. In the National Football League, the only currency that actually matters is winning. So consider the immense, tangible security of having Julian Love on the field. We're looking at a highly definitive sample size here, 11 crucial games. And we're not talking about preseason fluff. That includes 8 brutal regular season matchups and 3 incredibly high-pressure, high-stakes playoff games. Now, you have to contrast that immense security against the perilous alternative, the vast, unknown void when he just isn't out there. When you face modern NFL offenses that use heavy, complex pre-snap motion to create confusion, you desperately need a skeleton key. Without Love on the field, a simple jet sweep motion versus a total panic rotation in the secondary. And we all know what that leads to, right? A busted coverage and a 40-yard touchdown. But when Love is on the field, the secondary communicates silently, they shift seamlessly, and they completely suffocate those offensive concepts before the ball is even snapped.
So, the crucial point is, look at the reality of this outcome. 10-1. 10 wins, 1 single loss in those 11 incredibly high-stakes games. Just let that heavy silence underscore the gravity of that number for a second. 10-1 is not a statistical anomaly, okay? It is not a coincidence of a favorable schedule or lucky bounces. It is pure, undeniable cause and effect in its absolute purest form. When Julian Love is on the football field acting as the ultimate tactical eraser, shutting down the run-pass conflict and buying the edge rushers that extra half-second they need to hit the quarterback, the Seattle Seahawks are put in a definitive, undeniable position to win football games. Period.
Section 4, Scaling for Super Bowl LX.
You know, it's one thing to completely dominate a regular season Sunday in October. That's great. But it is an entirely different universe to connect a player's presence on the field directly to the absolute highest pinnacle of the sport. Super Bowl 60, the ultimate clash against the New England Patriots. This is the stage where legacies are forged in iron, and during this historic playoff run, the margins for error were reduced to absolute zero. Against a deeply formidable Patriots team, Mike Macdonald's master plan was put to the ultimate extreme test. Think back to that defining moment of the game. You know the one. Fourth quarter, 3rd and long. The game hanging entirely in the balance. The Patriots run a complex clear-out concept, totally designed to isolate the middle of the field. Before the snap, Love starts the play showing a too-high shell, perfectly baiting the quarterback into thinking the deep middle is wide open. But precisely at the snap of the ball, Love rotates down flawlessly. He undercuts the tight end's seam route with absolute precision, forcing a hurried, incomplete pass that effectively ended the drive and crushed the Patriots' momentum. It was Love's unique ability to flawlessly execute Macdonald's complex, shape-shifting defense under the most intense scrutiny imaginable that firmly anchored this team when it mattered most.
Let's move to the future and see how this builds. But right before we do, you really need to ask yourself, will this defense completely dominate the league in 2026? If you want to know the answer to that, you must subscribe to the NFL Nexus channel right now. Like this explainer, drop a comment down below with your thoughts on Julian Love's deep tactical impact, and crucially, support this premium analysis by becoming a channel member today. I'm telling you, this is the only place you are going to get this level of intense, deep dive tracking of the absolute smallest details of the Seahawks journey. Do it right now. Hit subscribe, join the community, and become a part of NFL Nexus.
Finally, Section 5, Unfinished Business in 2026.
The echoes of Super Bowl 60 are definitely still ringing, but the NFL, it waits for absolutely no one. As the doors open for the 2026 NFL training camp, the expectations surrounding this defense are incredibly heavy and intense. The rumors are already swirling.
The master plan has been scouted, analyzed, and dissected by 31 other teams, and you better believe Mike McDonald is already up late drawing up the next evolution. So what does that next evolution actually look like? Well, expect to see Love utilized in significantly more zero-blitz packages. They're going to leverage his immense processing speed to create instant, unblocked pressure right in the quarterback's face while completely trusting the corners out on an island. The reality heading into camp is downright chilling for the rest of the league. The franchise knows for a fact that if Julian Love can just stay healthy, and if he can be deployed more frequently in these highly advanced exotic packages, the Seattle secondary borders on being completely unstoppable. The pieces are all right there. Bud, Ty Okada, Nick, they are all absolutely primed to explode this season. Health, and of course the deeply unpredictable violence of the game that is literally the only obstacle remaining in their path.
Everything changed in a matter of seconds. The snap of the ball, a split-second read, a rapid, violent reaction. A single player actively choosing to sacrifice his own spotlight so that the collective defense can become an absolute structural nightmare for the opposition. The pieces are firmly set on the board. The stakes have literally never been higher. And the 2026 master plan is far from over. Keep your eyes locked right here on NFL Nexus, because I promise you, this story is just beginning.